This is Terrence Andre Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you about student loans and college education in general. Came across this article from CNBC. We talked about student loans in a while, but again, this is another big crisis that's in our time. Done several articles in the past about student loans, and the problem continues to get worse. It seems now the government is actually taking a tax refund. So if individuals who have not paid their student loans, thinking that this is, I can keep pushing this problem off. Well, the news is that they're taking tax refunds, and this is usually when it gets to those steps. It means you haven't done anything to try to combat it. But just to show you the state that where we're at in the economy, and education is constantly pushed. But if you can't be able to service the loan or pay the debt back, what good does it do? Or if you haven't even finished. So as always, titles intrigue me. That's why I'm going to get started with them and dive right in. Put a link inside the description as usual. The government took single mom's $3,063 tax refund to cover her student loans. She's trying to get it back. Tax refunds are a lifetime for many low-income people. For the increasing number of people who have fallen behind on their student loans, however, that relief never comes. Borrowers can try to get their refunds back, but the process is not easy. As she scanned the letters back, black type, Alexis Patterson felt herself going numb. The U.S. Department of Treasury applied all or part of her payment to delinquent debt that you owe, it read. Patterson stopped reading. One thing mattered now. The single mother would not receive the $3,063 tax refund, including her child tax credit. The government would instead apply the money to her past due student loan account. She and her 11-year-old daughter, Ophelia, had been homeless over the last few months in Portland, Oregon. A refund she hoped would help them secure a place to stay. Everything just fell out from beneath us, Patterson, 47, said. It's a really sad state when you hear stuff like this. But just to show you that and I've done articles in the past with the growing number of people who are not becoming delinquent, thinking that, I just can't pay and it's nothing I can do, and maybe not making any attempt. This shows you here that they will take your tax refunds, Social Security, and other ends. And when I worked as a student counselor, dealing with student loans and stuff like that, I was warning this thing would come into play. Because student loans make up a good percentage of what they consider for our GDP. And it's really quiet. It's kept. No one really pays attention to it until, unfortunately, situations like this occur. Tax refunds are a lifetime for many people. The average check from the IRS in 2019 so far is $2,795, which represents 6 weeks of income for the typical family in the United States. And the largest cash infusion 1 in 3 households will see all year. Repeat that again. The average check from the IRS in 2019 so far is $2,795. That's not the important part. The important part here is that for the typical family in the U.S., and the largest cash infusion 1 in 3 households will see all year. Wow. If this is $2,795 is the largest cash infusion we'll see for 1 out of 3 households in America, it shows we're in a terrible state, and whatever is being reported is not to be trusted. For the increasing number of people who've fallen behind on their student loans, however, their relief never comes. The U.S. government has extraordinary collection powers on federal debts, and it can seize borrowers' tax refunds and earned income and child tax credits, as well as their wages and Social Security. This year, the U.S. government has already taken $3.3 billion from 1.4 million student loan borrowers' federal tax refunds, compared with $2.3 billion from 1.2 million borrowers in 2016. These numbers are astronomical, and it seems like it's just continuing to increase. It has also pulled $48.6 million this year from 91,000 borrowers' state tax refunds, up from $35.2 million from 70,000 borrowers in 2016. Seems like the numbers are not doubling, but increasing dramatically here. Patterson is now scrambling to get her refund back, but she's finding the process close to impossible. She owes around $80,000 in student loans. How is she supposed to pay that back if she's homeless? Look at this. I love charts, and this shows a good example. Student loan borrowers losing their tax refund. Look how it's growing. You see here in this aspect. Again, I'm going to put the link inside the description. Borrowers in financial distress can request the Education Department review and potentially return their seized tax refund. However, refunds are harder to get back than Social Security or wage offsets. That's something I didn't know. It's harder to get back. Again, it shouldn't be so surprising to me, because I said before, quiet is kept. Student loans make up a good portion of what we consider for GDP. a part of the portion from GDP, the gross domestic product numbers and stuff like that. Other student loan borrower assistance project, the National Consumer Law Center. To do so, borrowers have to prove that they are at risk of eviction or foreclosure. Since Patterson and her daughter have been homeless for months, she likely doesn't qualify. It's an absurdly strict standard which doesn't begin to capture the number of different ways in which borrowers are facing extreme financial hardship, you said. Look at this. And he actually got a picture of her explaining what you should do now. The Education Department is required to let borrowers know in advance that their tax refund will be taken, but many people never see that letter for one reason or another. You don't have to get it, you said. They only need to send it. The government also only needs to notify borrowers that first time their refund will be offset and not in subsequent years. The Education Department did not respond to CNBC's request for comment. Patterson says she never received the warning, although she has little time to worry about that now. When they take your tax refund, what's more important is getting it back, proving you didn't get a letter, she said. And you see here, in the chart here showing this. Percent of ever defaulting, every year defaulting. Wow. Patterson has been temporarily renting a room in Portland with her daughter when the bad news from the government arrived. Without that more than $3,000 cash infusion, she said she couldn't afford to continue stay there. We had to leave and we had nowhere to live, she said. They're currently staying at a friend or a friend's apartment for free until the end of the month, but she said her daughter hasn't been able to attend school on many days after what they've gone through. She's traumatized, she said. The government doesn't always appreciate the significant role tax refunds and credits play for financially vulnerable Americans, you said. In conversations I've had with officials at the Department of Education, they view those tax refunds as bonus money. You said tax credits and refunds for low-income folks are vital funds for their survival. Last year, the National Consumer Law Center published a report titled Voices of Despair, which chronicled how poor people's lives can be thrown into chaos when their tax credits are seized. A single father said he became homeless. A veteran and father of four said he expected to lose his car. The average annual income for student loan borrowers in default in 2009 was $28,680, according to Mark Cantris, an expert on student debt. He's showing a family here. I'm reading the name. Akila McCanny and her three children, Cameron, Kondo, and Caleb. Akila McCanny, a single mother of three in St. Louis, learned earlier this year that her tax refund would be seized by the government for her student loans. Thanks to her child earned income tax credit, she was expecting more than $8,000. With that money, she planned to pay off her car, replace her children's old mattress, and send them to summer camp. I definitely needed it, McCanny's 32 said. She has around $18,000 in student loans. She reached out to Stanley Tate, a student loan lawyer, for help. Tate explained that she was unlikely to get the government to refund her tax refund since she was not at risk for foreclosure or eviction. Desperate to get her tax refund, McCanny filed for bankruptcy. Since the process temporarily suspends Treasury Department offsets, she received a refund after a month. It felt good, she said, although she is aware of the consequences. When you file for bankruptcy, it's on your credit for 7 years. Seizing tax credits and refunds for low-income people, you said, is not financially sound public policy. If the government wants its money, then it's not the best way to make that happen, she said. Taking this money prevents borrowers from being able to go back to work and make money to pay off their loans. No, it may not be the best way to handle it, but even then you got to go to such desperate measures and showing the state that we're at and why whatever's being broadcasted is not accurate. It's actually false. It gives people a false impression of where we're at as a whole in this economy, how things change dramatically. The last month we didn't have anywhere to even to sleep, Patterson said. Safety and trying to keep us up, okay, has been the only thing on my plate. It's just a sad state that we're in, and we're not even thinking about the constant rhetoric and keep pushing you taking on massive amounts of student loans to hope to find employment, and you find out that then you can't even pay it. And you see these two sad stories here, but there's probably a number more cases in there. They said it did a report on how people rely so much on getting the tax refunds. Look at this. It just proves the point again. You need to do things differently. You find different ways of generating income and not trying what's been true and measures of what's been told for us in the past to get success of getting yourself a massive amount of debt at what it costs to get for student loans. And there's no employment to be able to sustain. They said the average person was getting $28,000 and hope who they were taking from the refunds here. If this video has been any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments. Until my next video, I'm out.